All right, Kim, I think you're good to take us away.
All right. Adam, just a reminder to check for
Yep.
James and promote him. Amazing. Okay. Uh, Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday and happy final Energy Code Board meeting. It's pretty crazy to think that this process is coming to a close. But it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you guys for the last year to 2 years to 3 years. The time flies by when you're doing fun energy code. So anyway, just really excited to have made it to this milestone and just want to say a big congratulations to the board for getting here because it was a lot of work. And um, and we were there, we were recognizing that work as we went along. We know it was a ton for you guys to take on, and we we're super appreciative of it. So today, we are going to wrap up our voting on the final draft of the Low Energy and Carbon Code. As a reminder, we got through voting block 51 at our last meeting on Tuesday, so we're going to start today with voting block 52, and we'll roll from there. Before we jump in, I'm just going to do a quick reminder of the voting rules and procedures, just so we're all crystal clear and have that top of mind. And then before we start voting, I will just confirm that I've got the total number of verbal votes that will be taking place today. If you guys can make sure you have open the voting Google form that I sent right before this meeting, that will be the main thing you need today. All right. So, agenda. Oops, I forgot to change it. We're not going to approve the meeting minutes because we didn't send those out, but we will send out meeting minutes from the last two meetings following this one. We will then do a quick review of the final voting rules and process, and then we'll just keep on plugging along with our voting until we get through all of our 87 voting blocks. So, quick review. We are voting on each numbered voting block individually. I sent the voting block document to you all this morning if you want to have it open so you've got the different chunks of votes that we'll do today. As I mentioned last time, there are some non-standard voting blocks that don't sync up directly with the numbered amendments in the code. So there are some longer amendments that were broken into multiple voting blocks and a couple a couple amendments that were combined into the same voting block where they touched the same topic or a similar edit across sections. And as we did last time, Adam, I think as we continue to hit those different non-standard voting blocks, I will just have you jump in and share a little administrative note on how why we compiled them the way we did. Again, just a big reminder, especially since we had to split our vote between two meetings. It's very important that we think about how the sections are working together when voting between blocks. And we ask the board to consider consistency in your voting across sections, especially where sections directly rely on each other. So for each vote, we will pull the voting block up on a slide. If the code language was short enough, you'll also see that on the slide. And then there will be an opportunity for board members to speak for or against the voting block that we'll be voting on. So first, I'll ask board members to raise their hand to speak for or in favor of a code section. Anyone who raises their hand will have 30 seconds to speak. Next, I will ask board members to raise their hand if they want to speak against the code section. And again, every board member will have 30 seconds to speak. And just a reminder, you do not have to speak. It is optional. Once we get through all of the comments, we will do the voting. So you guys should have that voting form open. You guys will put your first name in at the top of the section, and then the voting block number, which will be in the title of the slide, and then you'll select your vote, yes, no, or abstain. A yes vote means I, board member, approve this code section as written for inclusion in the low energy and carbon code. A no vote means I, board member, do not approve this code section as written for inclusion in the low energy and carbon code. And an abstain vote means I, board member, do not want to submit either a yes or no vote for this section of the model low energy and carbon code. And as we kind of shared at the last meeting, we need 14 total votes to approve any amendment. So a vote to abstain is not a yes vote, and so therefore it kind of falls into that no vote category. This is what that form will look like. So once you've filled it out for each vote, you'll hit submit, and then you will click the button that says submit another response to bring you back to the blank form for our next vote. So as you can see on my screen, we're going to have the live votes populate into our Google Sheet as they come in. So I'll make sure all of the Google Form votes are captured first, and then for board members that are going to be verbally voting, I will ask for your votes after I see those votes come in. Once we verify that all of the board member votes have been received, I'll announce the results of the vote for that section. As you can see, the results will be shared live. And as I just mentioned, 14 votes are needed to approve any code section. Questions, comments, concerns? Yeah, Tom, or oh my gosh, Tim, so sorry.
Yes, thank you. Will this Google spreadsheet be available to both the board and the public, showing the individual votes, the tallies, and how each board member voted?
Adam, I think the answer is yes, right?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly are happy to make them public, Tim, and also they will be public from being streamed on this meeting as well. So the public will also be able to go through meetings if they want to see the live results, but I see no reason to not make the results public.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important. For me anyway, but especially for transparency for the public. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tim. Any other questions from the board before we jump in?
Oops.
Yeah, Kim.
Sorry, I meant to raise my hand first before unmuting. Just one other clarification question regarding what would constitute sending an item to the executive board. Is that only if there's some sort of conflict from our final voting, or is there any other criteria that would constitute that need?
Adam, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, it is if something is required by the statute, or if it, yeah, basically what you said, Kim, if it creates an inconsistency or a conflict within the code, are kind of the guidelines that we are working on to send things to the executive committee.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Kim. All right, and Adam, I'm just looking through our list of board members, and I think we are just missing Kate. Is that right today?
I think that's right.
Okay, so Lotus team will be tracking for a total of 20 votes as we go through our spreadsheet and our voting. All right. Just like we did last time, if we find we're flying through some of these, I will offer a break for folks at the 10 o'clock mark. But for now, we will just jump in to our voting. All right. James, I'm assuming that this was a test vote. I see you popped in here, and I know you missed that last time, so I just wanted to make sure you feel comfortable with the form and all looks good for you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No, all good. The rest of the board had a chance to test this last time, so I'm glad you submitted a test.
Okay, thank you.
Allie.
I'm sorry if you're just about to do this, but did we confirm the number of voice votes?
Oh, apologies. Thank you, Allie. I think it is just since James just tested the form and looks like he's good to go. Aaron, I think you are confirming you're still voice voting today?
Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so Allie, it'll just be Aaron. Thanks for asking. All right, and I'm gonna, James, just delete this response so we can start with a clean slate for our voting. All right, and here we go. So, as a reminder, we left off in the residential code, chapter 4, in section R402. So our current voting block is voting block 52, amending table R402.5.1.1, air barrier, air sealing, and insulation installation. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this amendment? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against this amendment? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, board members may submit their votes. All right, thank you, everybody. And oh, yep, and then Aaron, voice vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 52 passes with 19 yes votes. And James, I apologize, I didn't mention this, but you only need to include your first name since there are not two Jameses on this board. So hopefully that makes it simpler for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yep. All right, cool. Moving on to voting block 53. So voting block 53 is amending R 402.5.1.3 for the maximum air leakage rate. And there are two slides for this one that we have with the code language. The second slide includes the exceptions for this section. I'll jump back to the first one. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? And I'm seeing no hands, so you all may submit your votes. All right. Thank you all. Aaron?
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay. Voting block 53 passes with a total of 19 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, and we're moving right along to Residential Code Chapter 4, Section R403. So this first voting block 54, is adding a new section, R403.5.4, demand responsive water heating. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Okay, seeing no hands, board members may submit their votes. All right, thanks everybody. Aaron?
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay, awesome. So voting block 54 passes with a total of 17 yes votes. Thank you, everybody. Voting block 55, this is amending R403.7.1, electric resistance space heating. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Seeing no hands, are there any board? Oh, yeah, go for it, Kevin. We're gonna hold on Kevin, who's gonna figure out his audio, and we'll go to Carolyn instead.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. I was curious, can we offer a brief amendment to this one? I think we created a potential inconsistency when we moved to the exceptions and it intended to be at 2 kW rather than 1 kW so that we're not getting in conflict with making this more stringent.
Thanks, Carolyn. I think, Adam, we can still do that as long as we think
Yeah.
board is supportive of that. Kim, I'll let you speak since I see your hand, and then maybe we can do a quick check with the board on that.
That's what I was also going to bring up, is that I'm in support of this, but I do think we need to shift it to 2 kW to avoid stringency concerns.
Okay. And Tim, go for
Totally
it.
agree. Yeah, I totally agree to make sure we're in alignment with the allowance from the legislation. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Tim.
Kim, I would maybe suggest we do a vote to make an amendment and then a vote on the final.
That sounds great. Okay. So board members in favor of amending voting block 55 to change exception number 4 to 2. Well, to amend voting block 55. Please raise your hand.
Well, let's do it in the voting
Oh.
thing so that the public can see.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
you.
Sorry. Gotten straw poll mindset very quickly. So why don't we do in the voting form, voting block 55, if you guys can write in the voting block number 55 and then write 55 amend, maybe, just so we can track and remember what we were talking about. Thanks, Adam. And then board members may submit their votes when they're ready. So you guys are awesome. Thanks for... Okay. Awesome. And Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, wonderful. So we have voted to amend voting block 55. I'm just going to make a copy of this slide so I have it. And Adam, do you think do I need to manage the strike through formatting on this slide? Or since this is all changed, we can just change that to 2?
Yeah, it's all new text anyway, so I think
Okay.
changing it to 2 is fine.
Okay, awesome. Andrew.
Andrew, yeah, go ahead.
Changing exception 4 to 2 are the exceptions either or any? Does 4 control 1 through 3?
No. So if you're using more than 2 kW, I believe, for resistance heating that is required for freeze protection, for example, you are allowed to do that. But if you're not using it for one of those purposes, then it's limited to 2 kW.
Thank
Correct. It's any, not all.
Right.
Thank you both. Thanks, Andrew. Okay, so this is where we will land with new voting block 55. So thank you to the board. So I will, now that voting block 55 has been amended, still offer, are there any board members that would like to raise their hand in support of, or speak in support of voting block 55 as amended? Carolyn?
Yeah, I'll definitely speak in support of this. I think what we attempted to do here was create more flexibility, recognizing that we had other conditions in which electric resistance might be necessary. So definitely supportive of this amendment.
Thanks, Carolyn. Seeing no other hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this amendment? Please raise your hand. Okay, I am seeing no hands, so board members may submit their votes, and please just use voting block 55 as the number when you submit. All right, thanks everyone. Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 55 amended passes with 20 yes votes. Thank you, everybody. All right, and just like that, we're on to Chapter 4, Section R404 in the Residential Code. Voting block 56 is to amend R404.1.1 exterior lighting. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing no hands, you all may cast your votes. And Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, wonderful. Voting block 56 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, next up is voting block 57. This is deleting section R404.4 renewable energy certificate documentation. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Right, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, board members can cast your votes. Awesome. And Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Wonderful. Voting block 57 passes with 19 yes votes. All right, and we're on to chapter 4, section R405. Okay, voting block 58 is to amend R405.1, the scope section. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing no hands, board members may cast their votes. I think I'm missing a vote. Kristen, I think I'm missing your Google form vote. Thank you. Awesome. And Aaron?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Okay, voting block 58 passes with 20 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, moving on to voting block 59. This is amending R402 for site, R405.2 for site energy and home size. This is amendments 18 and 19. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of voting block 59? Elizabeth, start with you.
Yeah, hey everybody, it's Elizabeth. I just wanted to respond to the most recent public comment that was addressing the change to site energy metrics in this comment. We had the opportunity to do this modeling on a recent project that is looking to comply with the 2024 IECC and using this exact path. So I did get to experience how projects would perform. The project we analyzed happened to be one with gas heating and water heating. The ability of the project to comply between energy use and energy cost, so site energy versus energy cost, was almost the same. The difference is that if the project had improved gas reduction, it became easier to comply via the site energy metric than the energy cost metric. So while I do appreciate the public comment on this, I don't think it harms projects that still wish to use gas. It will only reward the savings that they achieve through energy efficiency measures that reduce gas. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, I see no more hands for speaking for. Are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 59? Andrew, go to you first.
Morning. I'm still challenged by what I believe to be inconsistent or lack of approach to account for affordability. And I'm just fundamentally challenged by this conditioned floor area definition and the last minute efforts by the board to get this. And I'm going to struggle with this as we continue.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I see no other hands for board members. So with that, I will ask that board members submit their votes. And Andrew, did you re-raise your hand for?
No, I
Okay,
took it
okay,
up.
okay.
Is it up again? I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, and Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, thank you all. So voting block 59 passes with 15 yes votes. We will move on to voting block 60. So this is amending table R405.21 for fuel debiasing. Excuse me.
Just to clarify, it's R405.4.21.
R405. Oh, oops, apologies. I missed the 4 in in the title there. That we will fix that. But thank you, Adam. Amending table R405.4.21. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing no hands, so board members may submit their votes. Awesome, and Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 60 passes with 19 yes votes. Thank you, everybody. All right, on to Chapter 4, Section R406. Voting block 61 is amending R406.2, the ERI compliance pathway. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this amendment? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this amendment? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands, so board members, you may submit your votes. All right, and Aaron.
Abstain.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 61 passes with 17 yes votes. We will move on to voting block 62, which is amending R406.3, building thermal envelope. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, no hands have been raised, so you guys may submit your votes. And Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, voting block 62 passes with 20 yes votes. Thank you, everybody. All right, on to voting block 63. This is amending R406.5 and replacing the table in R406.5. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Kim.
I actually had to have a conversation with Adam just to refresh my memory on how we arrived at the scores in the table. But it was because we talked about it so long ago, but there was a lot of conversation, a lot of effort involved, and just in general, I fully support this amendment with the code. And I didn't know if Adam wanted to chime in with more explanation, but I'll leave it at that.
No, I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone else has had any questions about how we arrived to these, ERI scores and all the language in here, but otherwise, nothing else to say.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Adam. Carolyn.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo Kim's support of this. I think this provides the cleanest pathway forward. It definitely reflects quite a bit of work from this board, so I'm in support of the amendment.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, I see no other hands raised in support, so I will offer, are there any board members who would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Andrew, I'll go to you first.
I again can't support this proposed amendment. While I may agree with portions of it, the conditioned floor area size, I think, was a great disservice. And the lack of considering a pure ERI score and not being open to considering a ERI score with removal of the backstops. I felt that should have garnered more attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I see no other hands raised. Carolyn, I think this is a leftover hand, is that right? Okay. Wonderful. So with that, board members may submit their votes on voting block 63. All right, and Aaron?
Abstain.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 63 passes with a total of 15 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, we're going to move on to voting block 64, which is adding a new section R406.5.1 heat pump building ERI increase. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. See no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, board members may submit their votes. All right, and Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay, voting block 64 passes with 19 yes votes. Thank you, everybody. And with that, we're going to move on to Chapter 4, Section R408 in the Residential Code. So our next voting block is 65, amending R408 for home size and amending the table R408.2. So this is the first slide with code language. As you can see, this captures the change table, and then the second piece of this includes the exception that was added by the board for R408.2. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Elizabeth, we'll start with you.
Yeah, more a question because I noticed a potential inconsistency between this compliance method, which is intended for a whole building, similar to R405, where we talk about the conditioned floor area of the dwelling unit. So the little the CFA definition, I might recommend that we align that with the alignment that we did for R405. Where it is the an average amount of credits required based on the size of the dwelling units for the entire building. And I'm thinking about multifamily here. Does that ring a bell with everybody?
Okay, I'm seeing some general head nods.
Yes.
So to follow the process that we did previously, we would first cast a vote, let me get there, to change this. And Elizabeth, do you have that code language? I guess I have do you have code language handy that you could share with me as for the amendment to this slide? Oh, Elizabeth, you're muted. Sorry.
That's going to take me a minute.
Okay, no worries.
to find it. Sorry, I should have had it at the ready.
No worries. So I guess, well, Kim, I'll go to your hand first, and then we can look to vote to change this voting block.
This is ringing a bell, and I remember in part of the conversation that we had before, it was noted that certain buildings could have significantly different residential sizes within the building, and that should be accounted for and addressed. And I'm not sure if we did in that language before, but I just wanted to bring that up. And I think that this deserves a little bit of conversation and discussion. I understand how it's pretty critical for the R405 section, but I'm just need to give some thought as to for R408 and hear others' thoughts too. That'd be helpful.
Okay. Adam, I want to look to you on what you think we should do for next steps here. We still have about 20 voting blocks left, so I want to make sure that the priority, I think, is getting through as many of the voting blocks today. So I just want to make sure we feel like we can carve out time for a conversation.
Kim, I just grabbed the language from the R405 and put it into the chat, and I'll just read it out loud for public. The language is: the required energy compliance for the building shall be determined by calculating the average SE proposed, or in this case, it would be the average number of credits required for all dwelling units in the building according with table blah, blah, blah. So it addresses, that's intended to pick up the dwelling unit size as it applies to a multi-dwelling unit building.
So I think that would probably go right after the first sentence in our 408.2 that was amended, Kim.
Okay, I just wanted to get it out on a slide for
Yeah.
for members of the public to see what was in the chat. So this is the language that Elizabeth dropped in the chat for that I have highlighted here. Go to Carolyn and then I'll go to Tim.
Yeah, I just want to speak in favor of Elizabeth's amendment. I think we acknowledge that it gets very complex when you have different size units in a single building, and I think we arrived at a well-structured compromise in terms of how to treat that as an average. So I'd support making this amendment change and then voting to approve the amendment.
Thanks, Carolyn. Tim?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It was a great pickup that we missed that for this particular section, since we are dealing with 3-story or less multifamily, and anywhere from whatever 150 to 300 units. So I think the average needs to be included. That was a great pickup. I'm in support of that.
Thank you, Tim. Jess?
Yeah, agreed. I have a question for Elizabeth, just based on the text that we popped in here. And maybe it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but would it be based on the average dwelling unit size or based on the average points required?
This great question, Jess. This would make it based on the average points. So if you have 10 units that are 2,000 square feet and 1 unit that is 6,000 square feet, it would not be 10 points. It would be, 11 or however the math works out for the entire building.
Thanks, Jess. Okay. Are there any other, I guess, let's take a moment. If there are any other board comments or thoughts on this proposed change, if I welcome any additional hands. If not, what we'll do is we will, I'll ask you guys to cast a vote to amend voting block 65, and I will work in the slide to change the language where it needs to change, and then we can vote on the amended voting block 65 if that is what the board would like to do.
Kim, can I just offer in the language, Elizabeth, since SE proposed is a much more fluid number, whereas credits is a round number, can we add something to the effect of rounded to the nearest credit or something like that, so that people aren't having to worry about a half credit or something like that?
Yeah, great point, Adam. I agree.
Kim, let's just say the average credits required, so it's very clear where that aligns with the table.
Okay. And Adam, I'm sorry, I would love your help on where this goes again. But Jess, I see your hand. We'll go to you first.
Yeah. So again, just a clarification question, because the credits required are kind of in groups of 10, right? So there wouldn't be an 11 or something like that.
So
yeah, in this case, there would be an 11. Yeah.
You would, because it would basically be saying that, so let's say you have 10 units, as Elizabeth described, 10 units that are 2,000 square feet. Each of those 10 units would be required to achieve 10 credits. So if you then have an extra unit that's 6,000 square feet and that was required to achieve 20 credits, then you'd be averaging the total number of credits for each of those dwelling units, and that's how many credits would apply to the dwelling units of that building.
Yeah.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
It does make sense. I'm wondering if I think it makes sense when you explain it. I'm wondering if with this table, if there's any potential confusion, since the table shows, less than 5 is 10 and the middle is 20. So it's like a weird in-between thing. And will that be easily understandable for people who are reading this?
I would also note
we could maybe throw in an actual formula for it, just to show the math, Adam, to make a formula that reflects the intent of the language.
So we could do that. The other thing is that, as we did with the solar and electric and EV ready code, we're also going to be creating kind of an explanatory notes version of the code. And we could also just include it there, because I think we heard from public that maybe equations, they don't want more equations on the residential side. And so that might be the easier way if folks are amenable to that.
Okay. Thanks, Jess. Good questions. Adam, so can you just direct me on where this language?
So I would put that just after the first highlighted blue sentence in R408.2, the language above.
Within,
right before the strike, right before the strike through.
As a separate sentence.
As a separate sentence, yes.
Okay.
Required energy compliance for the building shall be determined by calculating the average credits required, rounded to the nearest, I would say rounded to the nearest whole credit for all dwelling units in the building in accordance with, and then whatever the table number we just is down there. I forget what table number that is.
And could we add at the beginning of the sentence for multi-unit buildings?
Well, yeah, we can. I will say it doesn't say that in R405. And I think it wouldn't matter if it's multi-unit buildings, because for a single unit building, it would just be the average of the one dwelling unit. So it would still apply.
Fair enough.
Does this need to be updated as well?
Does what? Sorry.
Sorry,
No,
the condition floor area.
That's still
Good.
right.
Okay. All right. So first things first, we are going to vote as a board to amend voting block 65. If this vote passes, then we will vote
Kim,
on
can you
this
just
change. Yep.
fix the formatting there? Like the table and the header got kind of formatted.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Weirdly.
Got a little wonky. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. Good catch, Adam. Okay. Brendan, you're already on it. Thank you. All right. So for board members who will cast our vote now, if you would like to amend voting block 65, we'll do what we did last time. You can see your fellow board members are already jumping in there. So include 65 amend, and if you would like to amend it. And James, I know your 65 is meant to be an amend there, so we're good. All right. Okay. And wonderful. Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so the board has voted to amend voting block 65, and we will move forward with the amendment that is on the screen here. So thank you all for your brains and figuring that piece out pretty quickly. So are there any board members that would like to speak in support of the amended voting block 65? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against the voting block as amended for voting block 65? Andrew?
As before, because of the conditioned floor area definition, I don't think the board sufficiently considered more common home sizes, that with basements, there are still a sufficient number, and I did attempt to share a sufficient amount of that information. That, along with the arbitrary assignment of the credit requirements and the lack of consideration of an ERI score, I will not be supporting this.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, I see no other hands. So with that, board members may submit their votes for voting block 65. All right, and Aaron.
Abstain.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so voting block 65 passes with a total of 15 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, we're going to move along to voting block 66. This is amending R408.2.1.2, improved fenestration. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands. Board members may submit your votes. Okay, Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, voting block 66 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, on to voting block 67. This is amending R408.2.2, more efficient HVAC equipment. So this is the first part of the code amendment language, and I'll swap over here so you all can see the second half. Hopefully you have your voting block document or code document up so you can see it all together. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, see no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, see no hands. Board members may submit your votes. All right, Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, voting block 67 passes with a total of 20 votes. Thank you, guys. All right, on to voting block 68. This is adding a new section in R408.2.2.2 for evaporative cooling. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of voting block 68? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 68? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands. Board members may submit your votes. Okay, Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, voting block 68 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you, guys. Moving to voting block 69, this is amending R408.2.3 in the table R408.2.3. This is reduced energy use and service water heating. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing no hands, board members may submit their votes. All right, Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, that is a total of 19 yes votes, which means voting block 69 passes. Moving on to voting block 70, this is adding a new section, R408.2.4.1, for testing duct leakage in all dwelling units. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Yep, Tim, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that this addition is really a onerous requirement. And it's going to add a whole lot of expense on these large projects. I mean, I'm routinely working on 3-story multifamily projects with maybe 100, 200 units. And the whole concept of affordability, which we're charged with reviewing, and when we do propose amendments, is going right out the window with this new change, in my opinion. And I'm going to be firmly against this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Elizabeth?
I just want to remind everybody, this is R408, so it's not mandatory. It's just an option to achieve credits. So I agree that this wouldn't be a great fit for a lot of projects, but with, for a building with 15 or 20 units, this could be a really good option. Again, just for credits, it's not a mandatory.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, I see no other hands, so board members, you may submit your votes on voting block 70. Okay. All right, Aaron.
Abstain.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 70 received 15 total yes votes, so this section passes. Thank you, guys. Moving to voting block 71. This is adding a new section, R408.2.5.1 for ERV and HRV preheating limits. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands. Board members, you may submit your votes. Okay, Aaron?
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, voting block 71 passes with a total of 18 yes votes. Thank you all. And moving to voting block 72. So this is adding table R408.2.6. And this is the whole of the table is between these two slides. And we looked at this one pretty recently together as a board. Is there any board members that would like to speak in favor of voting block 72? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 72? Please raise your hand. Okay.
I actually,
oh, go.
sorry, I
Go for it.
wanted to get some clarification. I don't see the CEE language here, but I wanted to make sure it made it into the language that we voted.
It's in there. The
It's
energy
just spelled
performance.
out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't see it in the, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Kristen. Good question. All right. With that, I see no hands, so board members may submit your votes for voting block 72. Okay, Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Voting block 72 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you, guys. All right, voting block 73. This is adding a new section R408.2.12. This is for backlight, uplight, and glare ratings. Are there any board members that would like to speak on behalf of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Elizabeth.
I'll just repeat what we discussed about this one in the commercial section, that, even though this looks like there may not be energy savings associated with it, light fixtures that achieve this bug rating are typically more energy efficient. So it's encouraging that in conjunction with the extra value that these ratings apply. Thanks.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, I see no other hands. So are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 73? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands. So board members, you can submit your votes. All right, and Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you. Wonderful. Voting block 73 passes with 18 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, moving along to voting block 74. This is adding a new section R408.2.13 for roof and gutter de-icing controls. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Carolyn.
Yeah, I'll just remind folks again, this is an optional credit, so just wanted to make that point.
Thanks, Carolyn. All right, are there any board members who would like to speak against voting block 74? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands, so board members, you may submit your votes. Okay, Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, so with for voting block 74, we received a total of 18 yes votes, so this section passes. All right, to voting block 75, this is adding a new section R408.2.14 for refrigerants. Are there any board members that would like to speak on behalf of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, and I see no hands. So board members may cast their votes. And Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Awesome. Voting block 75 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, and with that, we are out of chapter R408 and into chapter R409 in the residential code, or excuse me, chapter 4, section R409. Should be clear about that. All right, this next one is voting block 76. This is amending R409.3.2.1 for electrical sizing and physical space. And Adam, would you like to share some notes on this one?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind the board that for R409, the board previously, when they adopted the commercial EV, solar, and electric ready requirements, you also adopted the residential. So that's why we're not having a vote again, just to remind everybody.
Thank you for the reminder, Adam. Tim?
Could I suggest a short 5-minute break and then we can roll right into the rest of them?
I think that would be totally fine, Tim's. We've got about 11 votes left, so we should have plenty of time to get through that in the next hour. So if board members want to take a quick break, we'll reconvene at 10:05. See you back then. All right, everyone. It is 10:05. If you can hear me, come on back. It is helpful if you just throw your cameras on for a moment, just so I know that you're there and I can see that you're back. Thanks, guys. And you can turn them back off once you've done that. Carolyn, did you have a question or a thought?
No, I was just waving at you.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so I think it looks like our crew is back. Thank you, guys. So we will continue on with our voting. The next vote is for voting block 76. This is amending R 409.3.2.1 for electrical sizing and physical space requirements. Are there any board members that wish to speak in favor of voting block 76? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 76? Please raise your hand. Tim?
No, actually, I missed getting my hand up for the.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry, I was a little slow. Yeah, I'm in support. I helped get this proposed amendment in based on a lot of my experience in enforcing this section since we adopted this electric ready portion a year and a half ago. So I think it's really a benefit for enforceability. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right, I see no other board member hands raised. So I think with that, we can move to the vote. Board members, you may submit your votes. All right, and Aaron?
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. Okay, voting block 76 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Awesome, thank you all. Moving to voting block 77. This is amending R 409.3.2.2 for electrical panel space. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Great. No hands have been raised. Board members, you may submit your votes. All right, Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All righty, so voting block 77 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you, guys. All right, we will move to voting block 78. This is amending R 409.4.3.2, the solar ready zone area. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Adam, do you have an admin comment?
Not to speak in favor, but just to remind everybody that with the way the code is now, the residential is split up between single family townhomes and multifamily. So this section only applies to multifamily like it did in the commercial section when the board voted on this. So just a reminder for everybody on that.
Thanks, Adam. All right, I saw no hands for board members to speak in support. So are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 78? Please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, you guys can submit your votes. All right, Aaron.
Abstain.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so that leaves us with 20 yes votes, or excuse me, 18 yes votes for voting block 78, which means that this voting block passes. Thank you, guys. All right, moving on to our voting block 79. This is amending 409.5.3.1, the table. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Tim, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. This was another one that I proposed and had a lot of help from the board, give a little more flexibility for these small parking lots on projects that we've been dealing with to raise it from the 10 threshold up to the 15. I think this will really make it a lot easier from enforceability for local jurisdictions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right, I see no other hands. So are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 79? please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, board members may cast your votes. Okay, Aaron.
Abstain.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, so voting block 79 passes with a total of 18 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, moving on to voting block 80. This is amending the space substitution section and EV infrastructure sections to include allowance for level 1 charging for multifamily buildings. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of voting block 80? Seeing no hands, are there board members that would like to speak against voting block 80? All right, and seeing no hands, board members, you may cast your votes. Aaron?
Abstain.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 80 passes with a total of 19 yes votes. Thank you all. All right, our next voting block is voting block 81. This is adding a new section, R409.5.3.9 for accessible EV parking spaces. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. And I'm seeing no hands, so you guys can cast your votes. And Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 81 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you, guys. And with that, we are on to Chapter 5 of the Residential Code. Getting very close. So the next voting block is 82, amending R405.2.2.1. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Carolyn.
Yeah, I just want to support this and note that this is in the addition space. So we had voted down, I believe, a amendment to do the same for new construction, but this is addition, so is intended to take advantage of existing slabs. So from an affordability standpoint, I think this is an equitable allowance.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, I see no other hands. Are there any board members who would like to speak against voting block 82? All right, and I see no hands. Board members, you may submit your votes. All right, Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so that brings our total yes vote count to 16, which means voting block 82 passes. Thank you, guys. All right, so we are going to move on to voting block 83. This is amending R402.2.5. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. All right, and I see no hands. So board members, you may cast your votes. I'm just waiting on one final vote from the form. Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so for voting block 83, it received 19 yes votes, so this voting block passes. All right, closing in here for voting block 84. This is amending R503.1.1.2. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of voting block 84? Please raise your hand. Okay, I am seeing no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 84? Please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands, so board members, you may cast your votes. Okay, Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, so voting block 84 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. Thank you, guys. All right, voting block 85. This is amending R503.1.1.2 for roof, ceiling, and attic alterations. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Great. I see no hands. Are there any board members that would like to speak against this voting block? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands. So board members, you may cast your votes. All right, and Aaron.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so voting block 85 passes with a total of 16 yes votes. Thank you, everybody. And now to the residential code appendices, our final two votes. Voting block 86 is deleting appendices that are incorporated into the base code. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of this voting block? Please raise your hand. Seeing no hands, are there any board members that would like to speak? Oh, Ron?
Yeah, I just want to, I'm not advocating for or against, but just wanted to clarify that the guide that we're going to be publishing in conjunction with this code will make clear to jurisdictions that they are free to adopt these locally as they wish.
They are free to adopt them locally as they wish, so long as they are at least as stringent, because in some cases there's as or more stringent, in some cases they're not. And so if there are provisions of them that are as or more stringent, they are welcome to adopt that, and we are happy to include that in the
Okay.
Explanatory version.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Okay. Are there any board members that would like to speak against voting block 86? All right, seeing no hands, you guys can submit your votes. All right, Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so voting block 86 passes with a total of 20 yes votes. And that brings us to our final vote for the day. Very exciting. Okay, so this is voting block 87. This is adding a new appendix RM, simulated building performance, energy cost. Are there any board members that would like to speak in favor of voting block 87? Please raise your hand. Elizabeth?
I know there's been a lot of discussion about this option. I am in favor of having options. I still think that teams are going to have an easier time using site energy as a metric, but I appreciate the public comment that wants to keep this as an option. So I'm going to vote against this. Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, did you mean to say you were going to vote against it? Your comment led
yes, sorry.
Statement
yes,
led
sorry,
the other way. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yes, I am not in favor. Thank you.
Thank you,
of deleting this.
Okay, understood.
Thank you. Or wait, I'm sorry. I am in favor of keeping it, not removing it. Thank you. I like options. I like Appendix RM. Thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, Andrew.
I really would like to vote for this, but I think it has an error in it that fuel gas isn't permissible as a standard reference. I think it does inherently biases towards electrification, and I think that's inconsistent with the basis of the 24 IECC. And I would like to support it if that correction is made, because I believe it is an error.
Thank you, Andrew. Tim?
I am for this, but I do agree with Andrew, and my suggestion would be, since this is an appendix that a jurisdiction can adopt, I would think that we could amend that into it, and that's going to be a question, I think, back to Adam, if that would be acceptable for a jurisdiction to make that amendment if we were to adopt it. Thanks.
I'll just pipe up. We do not need to amend it. It is the fuel source of the reference baseline will be the same as the proposed. It's already in there.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. I see no more board hands. Are there any other questions, comments from the board on this block? Yeah, Will.
I would actually like to speak in opposition to 87. I think that the fundamental reason why we moved to energy site was in order to ensure that there is essentially an even playing field that doesn't bias the code against electrification. And I do think that the Appendix RM approach sort of is biased in favor of gas, and I think that in the interest of fuel neutrality, I'm going to vote against this one.
Thank you, Will. Are there any other board members that would like to speak against voting block 87? Kim?
I actually just have a question for clarification. Did we do any sort of modifications of text or anything related to fuel debiasing in Appendix RM for this voting block?
Appendix RM, the table for modeling is the same as it was in the base IECC. So not debiased like the site energy one was. And the board voted on, or straw polled on that in the last meeting. So that was where it was decided.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Kim. Carolyn?
Could somebody please summarize the feedback? Because I've now gotten a little bit lost as to what this new appendix does and what the concern was expressed by Will.
So what the new appendix does is essentially takes out the energy cost approach as it was published in the 2024 IECC and puts it in an amendment. That's essentially what it does. So noting that the table is also as published in the 2024 IECC, not the debiased version that has been adopted as the replacement in the site energy pathway.
Thank you.
Adam, just to make sure I understand, I think we've already taken it out of the base code. This appendix doesn't take it out of the base code.
Correct.
That's already been done. This appendix, this creates a new option.
That's correct. When I said taken out of the base code, I should have said we took the language that was originally in the base code and put it here as an amendment.
Thank you, everybody. These are good questions. Okay. I see no more board hands raised. So I think with that, I'll invite board members to cast their votes for voting block 87. Okay, and Aaron.
Yes.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, so that brings our total yes vote count to 9, which is not enough for this voting block to pass, so this one will fail. All right, everybody. With that, we're done. Good job, everyone. Really, really awesome work. Very exciting to have gotten through all of that and with 30 minutes to spare. So Adam and I have a couple of wrap-up slides for you guys just to share what our plans are next for this code. And then we will let you all go a bit early today. So next steps. So for the code development process, we will look at the code votes and reach out to the executive committee if there are any next steps that we are needing to align with the executive committee on. We will be working with P&L and or Group 14 to get us the technical calculations needed to finish those credit calculations in the additional efficiency sections. So just so the board is aware, all of those points will be calculated before this code gets published in September. We will be finalizing the code package and the code report. Just like last time, we're going to provide an explanatory code version as well as a final code report that explains some of the bigger themes or topics that cross sections in the code. When we have those ready, we will reach out to the board sometime this summer for a review of those, just so we make sure we captured all of the notes you all were hoping we would. CEO is working with ICC to get the low energy and carbon code published as its own official code book. So we'll keep the board appraised of that as it progresses. And then our final code will be published on or before September 1st, which is the statutory deadline. So lots of work for our teams to wrap up through the summer, but the biggest chunk of the work is completed. And so that's pretty exciting. Any questions from the board on where we're headed or next steps? Yeah, Tim.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to take a step back with the way that vote just happened for the appendix RM. And if a jurisdiction chose to amend their code, this code, when they took it to their council or whatever, and added that as their own amendment, what would be the impact of the decision from the CEO on strengthening? Because I know we can strengthen apparently when we go to our council, but not make it less. Would that be considered making it less restrictive, adding an appendix like that? Thanks.
Tim, I think we're gonna have to evaluate that and get back to you with a formal answer. I think initial inclination is no, because we're essentially replacing metrics, and it's not necessarily saying that one was more stringent or the other. But we will evaluate, and I can get you a more formal answer at a later time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Dan, and then we'll go Carolyn.
This is a question just in general for the future. Will this code then be on a standard 3-year code cycle where it will be updated after every 3 years?
It's a great question, Dan. As of now, the state does not have any further statutory authority beyond the development of this code to update this code. So it is possible that legislation will be pursued at some point to continue the work of this board and to make a more regular update process. But as of now, that does not currently exist in statute. So the answer so far is no, but potentially yes in the future.
Thanks, Dan. Good question. Thanks, Adam. Carolyn?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sort of injecting myself in here because I have to sign off, but I just wanted to express my sincere appreciation to my fellow board members. I've been on this from the beginning, and it's been a great journey with everybody, so I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Carolyn. We'll go Jess, and then I'll go Will.
I wanted to echo what Carolyn said, actually, and just, yeah, express my gratitude to all of you. I have learned a lot through this whole process, so I really appreciate everyone's expertise and input, and I think I'm going to miss these meetings, so thanks, everyone.
Me too, Jess. Me too. Will?
Yeah, I also just wanted to essentially echo thanks to everybody who's been part of this process. You know, I'm not sure that anybody quite realized how many meetings they were signing up for, and sort of the amount of discussion and deliberation. And, it's been pretty remarkable to me to watch sort of the sort of diversity of experiences and background and opinions, and see, everybody really bringing, I think, really valuable insights to this process. And I think we ended up with a much better outcome because of sort of the diversity of experiences on the board. So just want to thank everybody for sticking with it and doing remarkable work over the years.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'll echo that as well. Thank you to the whole board. I learned so much from you. And I also want to just thank everyone who took the time from the public to submit a public comment. I know how much time that takes, and that was so valuable in consideration of all of this. And it was a tremendous responsibility to be on this board. And I know we all took that really seriously. And the time that the public took to participate in the process was just amazing and really, really appreciated. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Elizabeth. All right. Well, I think with that, Adam, do you want to say any final words to the board?
I think the only thing I would just echo everything everyone has said. I think we are so appreciative of every single one of you for taking the time. As Will said, I don't think anyone quite knew when we went into this just how much of a lift it was actually going to be. And as he said as well, appreciate you all for sticking with it. And just from more of the kind of board administrator side, and I'll let Kim speak to that too. Just you all have been a pleasure to work with, and I appreciate all of your thoughtful questions and discussion, and making sure that you fully understand what you're doing and what you're voting on before you vote on it. And I just really want to say that has made this process much better, much more streamlined, much more efficient, certainly than it could have been. And we just really appreciate all of that and that effort and attention that you guys have given to this. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Well, I think with that, I can keep my thank you short. Everyone has summarized what I want to say, but you guys have been a wonderful board to work with. I really appreciate you all stepping up in this position and giving it your all, and showing up for meetings, and being thoughtful, and doing your homework. And it really, I think, has resulted in a really great process, and hopefully a really great code. So we've really enjoyed being a part of this board, and we're excited for the next phases of this work. But with that, I can let you all go. Enjoy your Fridays. Give yourselves a giant pat on the back for this huge accomplishment. And yeah, we'll be in touch with next steps, but we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.